Well, I wasn't sure whether or not if I was going to do something regarding the Liv Morgan reveal and that ish show that WWE is putting out. Was insulting to Liv Morgan, in my opinion. Definitely insulting to Sonya Deville with her storyline that she had. And I'm actually surprised that people liked it, or some people liked it. I thought it was rather corny. I don't know what dude over there is thinking with his creative team, but they better get their ish together because these federations, you're like one day away, one creative spark idea away from having an NWO moment. Not saying that they're going to recreate something like that, but just you never know, one major signing away from just turning the whole thing around. And Raw and SmackDown's ratings are not the best. It's not coincidental, I guess, because they say there's no such thing as coincidences. At least some people do. That very day I was listening to Ryback, and he was going in on Vince and explaining how Vince will sometimes leak stories to create buzz and to get people talking. And of course, it worked for social media because we were, under the speculation that Liv will be joining Bray and The Fiend, and the storyline just seemed very fitting. So to have this happen, and just to, as far as I'm concerned, it did feel like being led on, especially with, the prior things that I post when you match with the creepy tags or the creepy tweets and the stuff that Bray was doing and the matching up with the RM Drakes, and it really just felt like he was playing us and just allowing us to just keep interest. And it also makes me wonder if he has some sort of deal with Twitter and YouTube, because those numbers are spiking every week. They're trending very high. I mean, when you think about, they had Liv Morgan trending for the past few weeks, at least in the top 20, just from every time she would put a tweet up. And then when they started doing the little promos, started going a little bit higher. And that means that sometimes those numbers on YouTube go up and the interest on Twitter goes up as well. So it's just making, and I don't know how, Twitter's making its money outside of ads. I don't know, what, like I said, any sort of negotiation that dude has, with Twitter, other than the fact that I know that he blocks their accounts, takes control of their accounts and gets them verified and all that type of craziness. But I would not be surprised if that was his overall strategy. It's whatever. I was looking at a lot of the tweets that were going off when, after the big reveal, and it was crazy. And people were pretty much in tune with what I'm saying now. What I still don't understand, I still don't understand why dude has not started his own women's division. I would not have put NXT up against AEW. As far as I was understanding, NXT was supposed to be developmental. And I guess because it was catching flame, getting that heat, that they decided, what, let's just, put it on broadcast and see if they could compete, realistically, it was just to be a thorn in AEW's side, but then there's rumors that 205 now might get flipped to developmental. So that's going to be developmental of developmental before you get to Raw and SmackDown. So, whatever. But I am of the belief that if he had gone and created a women's division and put that up against AEW, AEW more than likely would have gotten smashed because there's so many different audiences is going to feed into. Women viewers and young women viewers that aspire to be like these female wrestlers, it would have given them problems. And on top of it, you have 20 women on your roster that we all are pretty much aware of, and they're all fighting for space. So now they have their own 90-minute to 2-hour show, kind of balances it out, you know? And you can also add another title. So they have like an IC belt or a Universal or a US title. And I believe that, and they could have rolled that out slowly. AEW is what? Only in its, well, we're in Jan now. So, you know, technically, what, 2.5, close to 3 months now. I don't know what's going on over there. But what I do have my suspicions is that if dude keeps playing, something's going to happen that I am not going to say. Something that I've been sitting on since the summer, and I'm like watching certain moves that are playing out. And I also read something that MLW has some sort of a big announcement that they're going to drop soon. But there's certain chess pieces that are being moved. And if dude doesn't get it together, he's going to get smashed in the mouth. And with him rolling over, I don't know when XFL is coming out, and having time to mess around with that, and then trying to jump back and forth when it seems like these shows are already struggling, I feel like there's a piece that's missing, you know, because he doesn't seem bothered in terms of the creativity. So when I mention what type of deals that he might have with Twitter or YouTube and social media in general, it's just making me wonder, where's this money coming from? When I'm hearing that the arenas aren't as packed, you know, and the pay-per-views down, and the network's numbers have been down for years now, and I've always been a proponent of the company that can win via the internet is the company that's going to win. That's just my opinion. Dude already has his own network, and he can't make that grow. And the reasons why are right in front of his face. It is what it is. So this whole thing just baffles me as far as creative. And the way that I'm looking at this is like, I'm so like, I jump in and out with professional wrestling based on if I'm turned on by it, if I'm turned off. And right now, I'm focusing in on the female division. It's what I care about. I've watched the guys come and do their thing for years, you know, and then Vince, his infatuation for big guys like, you know, Brock going over a lot, and watching John Cena bury people, boring. So I got turned off. And now, like, seeing what these women are actually doing, you know, next level stuff, because they decide to train them more efficiently than they did with the Divas division. So, I mean, I'm just not understanding. MLW announced that they are starting their women's division, or actually have started. And I know that Zeta Zhang, who used to be in NXT, is now over there, and she just got a multi-year deal. Ring of Honor has Women of Honor, and we knew that Impact had the Knockouts. So I don't understand like what the holdup is. Then you have all these other women that are over in NXT, and after watching Survivor Series, I mean, we already know that Shayna Baszler's hot, but me being exposed now to Rhea Ripley, I'm like, she don't even need this title. You just need to just move her up right now. Now, comparing them to Impact, despite what the ratings are, if we're going to go by numbers, and I was told that they don't disclose their numbers, but it is what it is. That's cool. But when I'm watching their product, it's like they're having fun. It's like they're on some we don't give a, let's just go out and just have a really good time. And it really kind of like took hold with me Thanksgiving Day as I was watching. They did a throwback episode to the 80s, and I was just totally just it was fun. It was really fun to watch. They had their version of the Four Horsewomen with Tessa Blanchard, Jordan Grace, Havoc, and Alexia Nicole. They also had D'Lo Brown, who's a part of their creative. He was wrestling. I mean, it was just fun to watch. It was funny. They were playing characters outside of the characters that they normally play on their show. They were completely different names. It was cool and just really looked like they were just having a grand old time. Then I think last week or 2 weeks ago they did Wrestler's Court with Tommy Dreamer and Joey Ryan, and it's just it's just like it just feels more free over there. It feels like they're not tied down with just whatever mumbo jumbo seems to be going over, at WWE. And with AEW, it's a marathon, not a sprint. People have to realize and understand, as I was stating earlier, barely 2 months into it. And, people are already, wanting WCW, and that's going to take a while. They have a lot of new talent that, a lot of us aren't familiar with. And they have a lot of new talent that was in WWE that was suppressed. And they're going to be getting more talent right after these contracts expire, especially with the disgruntled talent that WWE already has, whose contracts are coming up. So, and I'm not talking about the talent that's going to get, I don't know if it's released or Vince is just going to let them out, where they had the 3-year stipulation that they can't go to AEW. So now they have to go somewhere else for 3 years. I'm talking about the people whose contracts are up. And this is a side note. Rusev has yet to resign. As far as I'm understanding, Lana resigned. So I don't know how long the Liv Morgan situation, as far as the storyline, is going to go if he decides to break out. I'm hoping that he does, because he's funny. And the first time I really, really got to see him be the person that I've seen on YouTube, on Up Up Down Down, and on Sheamus's channel, was last week when he was celebrating. With that crew of people. That was the first time, in my opinion, I actually saw him break out and be funny. And based off what Ryback was saying, he said that he was talking to him, talking with Rusev, and he was explaining to him that, Vince is going to give you this story now, and this is what we've seen before, he's going to give you this story now, wait for you to sign the dotted line, and then automatically what's going to happen. Rusev Day is going to happen once a year for you, buddy. So I'm hoping that he leaves, let Lana stay there. Lana's going to shine regardless. Rusev should bounce. That's just as far as I'm concerned. I've been trying to get in the ear of Killer Cross via social media to ward him off, because I know that they're going after him heavily. And as I was, explaining to him, let your wife or your girlfriend stay here. You leave. It doesn't make any sense being buried in NXT, even though you should be on the main roster, and to find out that you're going to be miserable, and you two are going to be miserable together if they do not treat her right as well. Especially with the history that he has with Moxley, that should carry over, and they need big men. But that's not my decision at the end of the day. I could only hope for the best. This competition is good for everyone. Hopefully, as they say, will make Vince loosen the reins off of, the talent as far as cutting promos, because I'm a promo person. I like the wrestling, but a lot of it, especially with the males, with the jumping off and the high flying, it's kind of the same. When you grab that mic and you cut that promo, then you have my attention. And certain women, I'll be honest, cannot cut promos. So I don't know if they never could, or I don't know if this now is lying dormant now because you've been having people write stuff for you, and your mouths have been taped, so you really can't cut loose, and now it's going to take a while. So when he loosens up the reins, if that ever happens, now you're going to have this issue, and it's like, oh, I told you, this is why we don't let people cut their own promos, because of this. Like, well, like I said, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But at this point, like I said, I'm going to probably just dead raw a little bit. I'm going to watch the next few weeks to see what they do with Liv, because I'm really interested in watching her development. I think that she's someone special to keep their eye out. Hell, she might end up becoming their Stone Cold and saving the company. I don't know, because I can tell you honestly, right now, it's not Becky anymore. Hate to say it, it's not. He killed her the moment that he put her with Dude. Yeah, I'm going to watch and see how she throws down with Rusev and see how that goes, and see her new moves, because I know she went back to the performance center, so I want to see what else she can do. And, I'll just make a decision there. Or maybe I'll just watch the clips off YouTube rather than sitting through 3 hours of, watching AJ Styles fight the same people every goddamn week. But I'm going to continue checking out SmackDown and see where this Sonya and Mandy storyline, if it gets any better. And I was thinking that Carmella doesn't even have a real storyline. It is what it is. Other theories, like with the Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, I pretty much already know what's going to happen. And I'll drop that maybe in another episode where I will expound. Right now, I just wanted to talk about the ish show, on Liv Morgan and the typicalness of WWE. So I'll leave you all with that. Thank you. And stay tuned for the next ep. I'm out. Side note, as I said, I don't believe in coincidences. WWE on their YouTube channel would have a picture of Mandy and Sonya as the 5 superstars who will break out in 2020 after that Monday night debacle. I don't think that that's a coincidence at all. And they had their photo and they listed them first. Yeah, that's a cleanup. And that's a hustle. Will they get the gold this year? I believe they probably will. But the journey to get there, as far as creatively, I don't know, man. I just remembered one more thing. There's always one more thing with me that I wanted to add. It's another thing that I heard Ryback talk about. They were discussing the concept of WWE creating podcasts. And he was wondering what's the percentage for the talent if they're going to get paid. And he was suggesting that they just start their own podcasts. I bring that up because they transitioned into what happened with Zack Ryder and how Dude basically screwed him. Zack Ryder wasn't getting pushed, so he took it upon himself to create his own podcast and his own show on YouTube, and he got over and the fans really loved him. And Dude convinced him, I guess, to scrap the channel or the special show that he was doing. I forgot the name of it right now. And gave him a little bit of a push, and then pulled it right after he got what he wanted. So it seems as if, from my understanding, that when you are creative enough to make money outside of just being the professional wrestler, that Dude might have a problem with that. And that makes me wonder if certain people aren't getting pushed and getting buried because they have found ways to become entrepreneurs, and he's not liking that. Greed is a mother effer. And I'll leave it on that note. So I have my suspicions. I have my theories. Let's talk about it. Once again, I'm out. Thank you for listening. Ta-ta for now.